All right, how we doing reflections? So I just wanted y'all to know I got a long video for y'all. I'm gonna make some edits on it, but it's 1:10 and we finished the Yaki Awaken. But this was on my computer, it was recorded. So just be ready for that. But just wanted y'all to know that we are in a different environment, so I had to make my video outside. And this is gonna look weird, but just bear with me for this video, cause if you don't know what the script looks like as well, just ahead of time for that video, because this video will be posted. The hell, look at my face, but this video right here is going to be posted afterwards, or after this video, or the Kyrie one. I'm thinking about doing the Kyrie one out here as well. But if y'all know the script, it's the last portion of the video, and I'll be elaborating to why I chose these and all that. But you know, this is just for the people right here who are just acknowledging of the gematria video. So let's go and get into the original part of this video though. Okay, how are we doing reflections? Actually, I'm gonna make sure that we are all on the same page here. I wanna make sure.
This whole celebrity idea is eroding. The whole fame idea is eroding.
All right, Celestial Rising, Divine Denoon, and Grand Night to the beautiful Divine Mirage watching this mindful message. It's your Divine Reflection, Divine Messenger, and we are back with another honest observation of learning, by the way. And I learned that in lifespan and development psychology. So you can't sit here and say that observational learning is not a thing, because it technically is, of course, for beings to emulate what they've been doing upon humanity. And for today, this video is going to be disturbing for some people, and some people are going to hate it. They may unfollow, they may get upset. Either way it goes, my intention is not to make you mad, but if you get emotional about this or you get upset, I can't control that. Excuse me, I can't control that, and nor do I care about how you feel about another person that you don't even know. And on top of that, all I can do is just pour honesty upon what I observe, because I can't sit here and ignore the signs. I mean, no matter if you follow me or not, because when I noticed that, I asked myself on the cruise, why out of all the people in the world in my videos, why would you follow me? And there was a reason that he reposted to the videos, because he understood the messaging for what was being said on Instagram. So once I realized that, I asked myself, well, okay, somebody must have noticed something. And then when I understood deeper into what he said with this video, that's why I'm bringing this video up, and the different screenshots and just all this information that I have, I realized that you're not so far from the family tree as far as my bloodline. And once I realized that, because we're on a journey of exposing any and every celebrity we can get our hands on. So once I understood that, I went back and evaluated on all the highlights and all the games, and just, I understood to myself, if you're in the NBA, then you're basically playing Juwanna Man. And so once I understood that, I told myself, with this depiction, you're playing in a movie that people don't know that their mind is being harvested in. But we'll get into all that for the gematria down the road. But once I understood that, he's basically going to have to expose what's being exposed for today, because if not, eventually it's going to happen no matter what. So for these videos, as he's describing what's happening, because this other screenshot I have on Twitter, I haven't seen before, but I want to watch it with you all, because I understand that his script was telling him what he was going to do regardless, letting you know he's under mind control. But let's go ahead and get into it though.
Whole celebrity idea.
So, while the world listens to Kyrie saying the art of fame and being a celebrity is eroding while playing on the world stage, people forget his MK Ultra script, calculated by gematria, requires his observation to serve and play in the same occultist machine that sells morals and manipulates egos into roles to where the entertained don't know what they are attracted to watching. Nephilim, Baphomet ascensions on a screening process of spiritual observations that make dark thought forms seem real to a veil that gives birth to false light entertainers. And disclaimer, got it right there for y'all, but let's get into it.
The whole fame idea is eroding. That shit was sold to us, y'all.
So by him saying it was sold, understand, he's not wrong for saying that. I do agree, but then again, you pay for it. remember, he does have instances to where he may go against the system or she may go against the system, but realistically, you're controlled opposition, and you can't forget about that. And that's what they tend to forget. They tend to forget that you are still under Boule worship and you're under Baphomet idol worship. So once you're under that mind control, you have a certain narrative to be pushing. So you should not be doing these certain things. But that's exactly how you know you're about to be done with the game. Once you start expressing yourself outside the NBA script, they can't tell you what to do, especially if you're great at what you do. So by having, and you can't really argue it, is this person not one of the greatest basketball players that you've ever seen? I mean, we'll be foolish to say no, but to have that knowing happen, I asked myself, who and why and how? Once I learned the gematria, I wasn't wrong about the assumptions to where now it all makes sense, where the being is going to start. I'm going to predict it too, because you're going to see it happen. They're going to have to. It's going to be on Twitter. It's going to be on YouTube, all of that. They're going to have to predict. No, I'm going to predict that they're going to have to expose what's going on a deeper level. So where you're going to ask them, why is Kyrie doing this? What's the point of it? You're playing in the NBA and you're exposing things that go on in secrecy. But he'll do it to a certain extent. Won't tell you the fullest of that extent, but she'll try to get you there, because that's her empathy, feeling bad for what she has to account for, because she knew that this video right here was going to do it. And so on my Instagram, still getting likes as well. But she knows that eventually you're going to have to make up for what you did. And people added this character as well under my post, letting her know, hey, do you know that this is you? And we're not here to bash or hate. Understand as well, disclaimer. Contradict everything, question everything. To an extent, don't overdo it, because there's some people who will sit here and get upset saying, I don't believe that Kyrie's a woman, bro. You're just hating. You're just sitting here talking out your ass. That's the thing. You're not even interpreting what false light entertainers are being. They're giving birth to roles that they play characters in. Kyrie is not being Kyrie. She doesn't even want to be this character for real. But she's showing you what she had to sacrifice to get to where she is. Understand, these things come with a cost. It's been like that, even going to Duke. Going to these top schools, going to the path of the NBA, it comes with a cost, whether you believe it or not, but you're not in that realm to know about that. But the greater you are, the more it comes with responsibilities and actions that you have to keep on doing to keep your image up, to where now you go to streaming to express what you kept internalized for years to come. So this person has been lying to you for years, but is claiming to be we're not even claiming, but acting as if they're being conscious or whatever. But you still sacrifice something as far as morals to gain more money, to stay abundant in what you are crafting as far as sorcery, because basketball is Luciferianism. It is a spell to dribble the ball and not get ripped, and to make a layup over 7-footers, and to get a shot at a certain arc, to keep that going consistently, and to get boards. Like, all this stuff, basketball is a game of spell casting and manipulation. And then it's too, it's energy work. So if you watch Space Jam, when Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, and I think Sean Bradley, all of them, so when they lost their ability and all that, they were telling you that the ball was taken from these characters, from beings that they were playing as. People didn't realize that though. They were telling you that these astral leeches were wearing their costumes, where they were being in their energies, where they took their abilities and made them better. But the thing is, when you take the energy from the ball, now it's like, what is the being doing? How is the being acting? How are they going to be playing? Now it's like you don't really know what they're going to be doing, because they lost themselves. So once you lose yourself in the game, it's like you're playing as a certain character that you have no idea is committing the action that you lost awareness of. So when they lost their power in the game, I was trying to make sure too that they wasn't saying nothing crazy and shit, but once they lost their awareness, so once their energy got, or their skill ability, just their knowing of basketball, once they got stripped away from their talent, basically, their skill, their blueprint, once that happened, they were like, come on, Charles, and he looking like he'll know how to catch a ball, he'll know how to make it, he in the top of the score, or the time score and all that, the timekeeper. So, and the crowd is like, what the fuck going on? The whole entire time, his energy got taken or harvested from him, letting you know what happened for the deal. So once that happens, now you act as if you don't know how to hoop no more. So when these beings are telling you that this is higher than just the NBA, this goes beyond just the human programming. You have to be in a whole different dimension to have people like this even acknowledge you. So once I learned that, I told myself, so you can claim them as being human or whatever the case may be, but these are idolaters or pagans or Satanists, because the thing is too, they have a God to worship. They have a knowing, but most of them don't speak on that knowing. But a lot of them are starting to start streaming now because they're going to realize that the NBA is going to fade out once videos like this start getting exposed, because they know what's about to happen. They feel the shift coming in. But we're not going to hold back, because once Skull and Gate starts dropping more NBA players and all that, it's nothing. That's why we only got one blueprint for Kyrie. But my bad, I paused it for way too long. Let's get into it.
People out here that are human, that are acting every day of their life. They're not even real. They just on NPC shit. Every day they acting. They don't even know the world is a stage, dog. And it's a lot of terrible actors.
Talking about herself. She's letting herself know that she's been a terrible actor. And she has to come out and say the truth, or else it's going to bite her in the ass.
It's a lot of terrible actors out here. The world is a stage. There's a lot of terrible fucking actors, dog. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it, dog. I'm just gonna say it. I tried to tell Spice beforehand I said it, but the whole idea of celebrity, bro, if you're not a real person, you can't stand on your morals and principles out here, move out the way. You can't stand on any principles and morals out here as a person that's trying to see this world become better, move out the way for the time being. I'm not paying attention to all the beefs going on, or, It's a great day for all divine beings.
And the thing is too, once I understood what she was trying to say, staying out the way, you're getting out of the NBA's eyes now, because you're not catering to a group that was never meant for you to be in. But all of a sudden you were playing their game. So once it comes to morals and principles, you had that realization of what you did and what you had to account for. So if you're going to be a real nigga, if you're going to be a real brother, or technically a sister, so you are under, what is it, Eastern Star and all that, or whatever sorority, but under this Boulay umbrella, you had to expose what's going on. And you understand that this time is coming, so you can't avoid it. But by you doing that on streaming, your script or your nature was going to do it regardless. But are you aware of that observation?
Watching this video, and to Kyrie, I'm talking to you directly, not to send hate your way, not to send negativity your way, because I don't believe in any of those labels. Because from one, I move with love. All I can do and express in this world and give out to this world is the love that I have for myself, and your reflection as well, that you have mirrored into occult hexagrams on your hand. But we're going to get into that later on. But either way it goes, if you want to follow me after this video, Kyrie, you are telling on yourself, and if you do make a reaction to this video, you will awaken humanity to where now you will have to be able to speak up on what you have allowed in these industries of Luciferian basketball worship, or black sorcery, which is basically dark occultism that you are playing the game with. So you're playing with Lucifer's mindset, calling it entertainment. Let's get into it. So when this character right here, because there are no such thing as genders when you are leaving the observation of the physical life that lies to you and what you find the truth in. The NBA was created, formed, observed from 1946 to what we see today, or 1949, doesn't matter. But when it was called Basketball American Association, or whatever the case may be.
And the thing is too, with the 1940s, understand, the spell casting been happened, so it was an observation. So even if you go before timelines, you go before the year one, we were always playing the game. That's the game within the game, meaning that we were observing the sport that we were always playing with. And the thing is too, somebody part right. Like, you can't make this stuff up. It's just really weird. It's really weird, and all of a sudden people pulling out. It's just crazy. But once you understand the game or the sport, you understand that it's being played with a higher order. And these orders tell you what to do with your life. And what I mean is too, it's like, how much money do you want to make for the game that you love? Because we want to offer you something. Okay, what does that come with? Well, we'll tell you when you sign this deal. And a lot of times people go through with it because of their familiar situations. And once that happens, they tell themselves, well, what I'm doing is justified, so it's for a cause, it's for my family's life, it's for my family lineage, it's for a change. And when they keep telling themselves that, that's when the lies begin. Once the lies start getting paid for, they become circus acts. So it's just like in biblical time periods too, within like the Babylonian or even Greek timelines, when all they were doing was just gladiator matches and all that, seeing the strongest survive and get mauled by tigers and lions and rhinos and shit. So once they're expressing that by giving us a bread and a circus, they're going to keep people entertained because they want you to forget what your purpose is supposed to be, because they want you to watch somebody else do a distraction that you were never meant to watch. But people watch that because they forget what they should be focusing on. I'm not saying that you can't have entertainment, because you can. But the thing is though, when you're consuming it every day, do you know what you're supposed to be doing? No, you're wasting your years watching somebody else waste your year, because they're wasting their years in the game. And that's all it is. So even when it comes to rings as well, we can't sit here and say that this is the greatest point guard of all time, because that's a label. Same with Uncle Drew. That's still Auntie Kyrie. I wonder what her full name would be, but that's her character. That's her script. So by Auntie Drew, she's showing you that even as a man, I put in more work than you and I got to where I wanted to be. But you can't really flex that because that's the script. Most Joanna men do get to the NBA because they're showing you what their genetics was altered into, letting them allow themselves to be. They can express themselves freely and with their kind. It's a society in secrecy that not many people can get in. Obviously, I want to say 490 something, maybe 500 NBA players are in the NBA, and the rest of the world is what? Just regular athletes. Doesn't matter what level you go to. That's the best of the best. So once you realize who the top 10 NBA players are and who the greatest are, you ask yourself, were they really men that were just the most dominant? They were just a lot of women on testosterone. They were flexing what they were trafficked into. So when they're giving each other praise and admiration, they're telling you, I looked up to her. So when you watch the WNBA, you realize that you're watching the exact same program. It doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the mirage that you notice on the court. But the court is still your imagination, or the box that's oppressing your mind. Literally squaring the circle, squaring your energy. So even in masonry and all that, when they're trapping your imagination on the court, understand the art too is all masonry. The art, the paint, all these different symbolisms in that square or that rectangle, you're watching energy go back and forth, and yet, what's the point of it? There's a point. I don't mind watching, I don't even mind playing it. But after a while, you realize that the things that happen are scripted. It is already predetermined on who's going to win the finals. So you can't sit here and say this person is the greatest of all time because they had this amount of rings. No. You thought that because of symbology or a ring, like a ring solidifies, what's the word? A praise or approval, or it should praise success or leadership. But it's like, that's not basketball. Because just because you jump higher, just because you shoot better doesn't mean anything. It's because you're on a different substance that a biological man or woman is not on. So when you see a lot of women who are moving like men in college, high school, the WNBA, these are men playing as women. It's not disrespectful to say that. Understand that. I move with love. But what I'm saying is we're keeping it a fact. These are men playing as women in women's bodies, and you're cheating the system. So these people technically do not have 6 or 5 or 4 or 3 or 10 rings. But these are lies that people attach themselves to make debates to keep the name alive. So if you had 7 rings and you were considered to be the greatest of all time, would you not want to live in that character even after you're done playing the game? That's exactly why when people are done playing the game, what do? They still talk about it. That's their identity. They don't know who they are outside of basketball. That's mind control.
Understand that Luciferians formed a system, an association of secrecy, to manipulate the minds that aren't in their societies. So you place this game that we invented, you now alchemize it to your liking, and you use it for mind control. When you get different beings of duality and mind control, you now invert the two-sided figurine of what this being's gender is to where now you take the spirit and you make the spirit become complacent into what they are trained into, working on themselves into being for financial freedom. When you connect an illusion with an illusion, you play with the illusion for that illusion called money, for financial freedom. Now, somebody will say, it's amazing how none of the trainers or people close to the programs don't out them that they are women. I would say it's because they too are in the club. So somebody can say, well, how is Kyrie a woman? I mean, you can sit here and say, to me, he's a man. Like, you know, he looked like a man to me, so I feel like he was on some bullshit. Got it. Men lie, women lie, but these numbers will tell you a contradicted truth that your intuition will have to guide you into never being able to see, so you are able to read the script that cannot have a language attached to it. And if you have a language attached to the language of God's truth, that cannot be a number or the English ciphering of linguistic sorcery, and you have to go outside of your body to be able to observe what these terrible actors are doing. For one, you are a great showman. You are a great being that puts spells on people. Not only just that, because you can sit here and say, well, once again, you answer my question, how is Kyrie a woman? MK Ultra transgender. The Greatest Showman, duality and contrast. God's plan to trans man. Satanic ritual sacrifice. Only those awake can see. Wizards and warlocks. You are the key holder. Running out of time.
And somebody will say, that still doesn't prove that this is, you know, a woman or whatever. And you gotta realize as well that the skull and gate matters, but it doesn't matter because you can still find other ways. So you gotta understand as well with the skull right here. So if you look with the nose placement. So obviously somebody be like, well, how is this? So in forensics, elite gender inversion, when you do forensic analysis, the man's face may be wider, may be narrow, doesn't really matter what position, but you don't fix a position, you keep it where it is. So the placement should be right here. But obviously the eye is scrunched down, eyebrows right here as well. Once you notice that, you go over to here, it's a perfect fit. Eyes in the socket, nostrils right here where they're supposed to be, because that'll be the nose right here, because she did have a mask. So the thing is too, also had the same exact thing. So in basketball, when you get hit in the nose, you can get your nose knocked out of placement. So that's why, yeah, I ain't gonna get into all that. But I feel like my face is not straight as well because of that situation, but that would be a whole different story time. But when she wore the mask, that's exactly why too, the nostrils are different. So even with the smile right here and all that, the exact same alignment. So somebody be like, well, how would you know? And then you can tell by the leg placement, you can tell as well by the legs, the feet and all that. They walk different, they move different, but that's the programming. So we'll get about that. Okay, let me go back to the video. Right there. All right, let's get it. My fault, y'all.
Your secret. So this video does not go viral. That's cool. That's okay. I don't expect it to go viral. But you follow me for a reason, and you reposted it to my video, so you know something. And so for you to repost those two videos, you still understand that you're listening, and somebody told you, or you found something somehow, some way. So somebody's talking in your industry. Epigenetics and genetic code. I put a spell on you. Faith is death and plane crash. So you understand what happened to Kobe. But yet you won't tell the world that. Because you understand Kobe cannot die. In the world, there are billions of people who actually sit here and think Kobe and Gigi died. Whole entire time, they are consciousness of attached egos that lost their way in life. When people lose their way in life, they have to sit here and find a memory to hold on to feel alive again. So why do you think people feel alive when their favorite NBA players on the TV screen? Because they're lying to themselves. People have a vague, mediocre lifestyle. But when you, as the greatest showman, pop up on their screen or in real life, people come to see you play because you are manipulating spirits at this point. You're damn near conjuring spirits at this point. Have you ever seen Kyrie dribble a basketball? There are some NBA players who are greater than Kyrie who say he is the greatest ball handler of our time. And you will call him the greatest of all time. But that's the thing right there. Father, how can I make them see? That's all I want, because I don't even think Kyrie even knows that. Kyrie is a woman, playing as a man. So if you're sitting here saying people are NPC mode, you are the NPC, playing basketball in NPC mode. You're a non-playable character. Nobody can emulate what you do. If they do, they are mimicking you. But they can't mimic a program, a hologram. You're not even really here for real. You're under mind control. Not only just that, where was the code at? Oh, you know what? Got it. And I had to update the script, so my bad. Moving to streaming. Did he not announce that on stream about people being terrible actors in the world's a stage, this and that? Cool. You are the key holder to understanding this. Esoteric symbolism. But slit your throat. If you tell the world about what's going on with these fake symbolic deaths, these sorcerers who are casting spells upon humanity, not only just that, your own spirit told you what you were, but why don't you tell society what you always been and what you could never be? Because Kyrie's not even a physical being, first of all. You make this being physical because you are attached to the being that thinks it's not physical. And this being will tell you that. But what happens if they do? Gonna get them calls from them agents, some little contractors, or the people who work for him or who he's working with. They're gonna say, hey, Kyrie, you talking too much. You gotta quiet it down, silence it down. My bad, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and stream for tonight. See y'all later. It's like, it's too easy at this point. In conclusion, with this hand symbolism that he had to show, obviously, as control opposition. This being, no offense to you, by the way, but if you get offended by it, there's some truth hidden into that. You understand about hidden societies because by you showing this hand, this interlaced triangle, this interlocked triangle, the 6-pointed star that is merging the opposites of duality. Feminine, masculine, spirit and matter, good and bad, day and night. So in alchemy and sorcery, magic and all that, Wicca, all these witchcraft practices that people think is witchcraft, all the entire time we are practicing the witchery or the wizardry of what we have casted upon our own creation by doing spell work unconsciously through mind control. Because we control our own minds as the all-seeing eye in the middle. By you having that symbolism in the middle as well, you have been initiated into occultic realms that give you hidden information that you somewhat sprinkle upon the masses depending on what they can handle. Because you have handled so much in your life, pause. You understand what it means to be sacrificed. That's exactly why you and I follow each other, because we're in the same exact family. The only difference is I expose family members. You keep them hidden and you work with them, you smile with them as if you are buddy-buddy with the opposition. And because of that, you decided to hide amongst them because you have an initiative. Get this money, play the game that you love. But when you retire, that guilty conscience that you basically just sprouted out upon the universe through streaming and your gematria script, it told you what you would be doing. I'm going to predict it. When you retire or close to the ending of your career, you're going to have to tell people what you have seen and what you have been doing. If you don't do that, that is fine. You have to come right back into what you were supposed to escape from because you have forgotten the mission over a game of Luciferianism or basketball. And what's crazy is playing a game of Lucifer's mind so bad when you have fun with it or when you grew up playing with the fun of Lucifer's mind that has no mind to play in. So what are you playing in? You're playing with people's consciousness, Kyrie, and you have a handle for it, which is exactly why nobody can guard your handles. But eventually, though, you're going to have to lose that rock. You're going to have to lose that consciousness. You're going to have to lose that information that you've been holding on to for so long. You're going to eventually have to let go of the ego that you painted as the idol, the idolater, or the god of this world. You're going to have to tell people why you did what you did and why you kept it secret. But then again, though, in that script, slit your throat. If you speak up on what you have seen, what you have been doing, what you have had done to you, what will happen to your career, your money, your family, and your finances, and your career as well? Will it go down the drain? Do you deserve an accolade for not being your actual gender? Have a great Nirvana Day, Divine Reflection. All love to you, by the way. Here's what it is.
Literally. Because other people and their genders, they can get their accolades taken when, you know, let's say a transgender is swimming or whatever. They get their accolades taken because they weren't their actual gender. Why can't it be translated as far as professional sports and all that? But nobody knows because we think as if that's who they're being. And somebody be like, well, why does gender matter? It matters for the youth. You're too ignorant to know why. I'm not saying you, by the way, because if you're watching, you already understand what's going on with the genetic altering, especially if you ask me, because I don't even got to do the skull and gate analysis no more. I send to you, whoever you got to go to. And I already know how to do it, though, but I choose not to, honestly. So I'd rather, because Skull and Gate don't mind doing it for me as well. So if I told you about Skull and Gate, shout out to him. But once you understand that, you realize it matters to the youth because people who get the youth to think a certain way about their gender and then allow certain actions or sexual, what's the word? Sexual plans to happen or even thoughts to happen, if you allow it to keep on attracting to itself every single day, eventually it'll lead up to assault, it'll lead up to trauma, hatred, envy, hypersexuality, depression, suicide, because you weren't really understanding what's going on. So most people realize that, because for one, who is Kyrie Irving? That's all I put. This is only the one script that we have, but when I understood epigenetics and genetic code, understand there are a lot of people who get their genetics switched because they have something that these beings want. That's really all it is anyway. So when you are the best and you're wondering why you didn't accomplish that or you didn't make it towards this, it's because you weren't destined to be there. You were going to be a background character no matter what. Some people don't mind doing that. But eventually as a man, do you just want to be known as being on a bench in the NBA, not accomplishing anything? You want to be behind another man that's not a man? Pause. That's basically what they're doing in front of your face. They're shitting on you. They know you're, because for some reason, they have this secrecy in order to where, because when you're not getting paid over $100 million some dollars to put a ball into the hoop, you know how crazy that is? You know what you got to do to obtain that kind of money? So once you understand what you got to do to get that money, you realize that you did a betterment for yourself by not even entering this league, because you're not in that league. Because for one, truthfully, they did put in over 10,000 hours of playing basketball, because remember, that was their way of healing with what happened to them. Somebody told them what it was and what the plan is for life, and they followed that script. So where basketball was the only thing that they were focused on every single day, which is why it makes them great, or which is why it makes them the greatest to ever do it. But people don't realize that you are the greatest to ever play the game if you really play the game every day. It's not that hard, but people are afraid of doing it because they don't want to try to get embarrassed, or they don't want to get, what's the word I would say? They don't want to have this notion of they're not good enough. But why not just train and practice? Because if you train and practice, you get to realize that, you know what, my differences make me unique in some certain way. I can realize I'm not good on this side of the ball as far as offense. Let me just be on defense. I'm not good on defense, but I can go score. Let me just focus on that. I can do both. Now you're a player. You're playing a game because you're playing on both sides. And then when you're doing everything in different categories, rebounding, steal, shooting, talking, boxing out, diving on the floor, getting loose balls, you know, you're just doing different things that most players don't do. That's what separates you. But then you gotta realize as well, in some people's nature, they allow the great ones to get it how they want to get it because they're taking the back seat. So when you wonder why people always focus on you, they're putting pressure on you, they're guarding you, double teaming you, it's because their feminine spirit is telling them that you can't be better than them, so you gotta double this person. So where now their ego overruns them to where their script aligns with what they never worked on. So where that's just how it is, because the world is simulating towards this energy or empathy, which is why a lot of times when I wonder, like, damn, why would these people, like, why this happen? Why would life do that or this? That's what was going to happen in the movie. Because remember, if the simulation is the womb of a woman, quote unquote, and people are women playing as men, or vice versa, they're going to get it easier in life. But biologically in the simulation, we're not destined to be here because remember, we're the eyeballs out of a normal playing field. People are playing in the same field, but you're a tennis ball on the baseball field. People are like, what the fuck is a tennis ball doing in the damn baseball pit? Oh, my fault, so I'm gonna throw it out. Now you gotta find your way. And no matter where you go, it's the exact same image till you find out who connects with you on a solar aspect of your observation that you constantly learn about every single day. Satanic ritual sacrifice. And the thing is too, I feel like this shit gets deep. And the thing is too, it's a contradiction because nobody really knows till you go higher into secret societies. So it'll all just be speculation. But when you practice claircognizance, clairaudience, and you go outside of your body and you have that higher awareness of what you can see, you can put yourself into the realms where these beings do get sacrificed, because for more money, they need our vessel. That's exactly why a lot of times when you go through basketball, you don't have a life, because you sacrificed it to a God that gave you what you worked hard for. If you really think about it, because when you go and play in the league and you see what it is, what are you entertaining at this point? It's deeper than basketball. It becomes a business now. And a lot of your coaches will tell you that if you're in college or even on varsity as well, it's a business, or even on your AAU team. So once you know that, they start doing things for the team or for the organization really, or for the heads of the business CEOs that own the team, because their lives are at stake. They got a family to feed. So they need to find talent that's ready to go get it. And the thing is too, if you are like their inversion, they'll pick you because you're destined to do more, because you're on certain substances that society hasn't obtained before. So it's not your fault for why you haven't achieved getting to the next level. It just wasn't meant for you. That's meant for their script to watch themselves playing. That's what keeps them stuck there or here. So once you realize that, well, even for myself, once I understood how that happened to me, I had to forgive my birth giver for even telling me about that and allowing me to walk into it without even letting me know what was going on. I had to realize that for myself. So once I appreciated and took the accountability to walk away, I understood that you can't take my masculinity away just because you were inverted. That was the thing I realized, that the knowledge that they obtained was trying to diminish what I thought I knew. And once I realized that there was a whole other side of consciousness that I didn't realize, that's when I said to myself, how can I understand what they know by not having to work for it? I would astral project into these realms. I would listen. I would find out their flow of life and listen to their thoughts. I would look at them, observe them. So right now I'm next to Source. Whenever I go to bed now, I watch myself in infinite dimensions just do what I already ordained myself to doing on my interconnected web of my subconscious play that I get to act in all different realms of infinity. Once I watch myself, I understand that where I want to be and how I got there was ordained to happen. So once I understood that I was going to be aligned with them, play basketball with them or against them, and learn about them, I understood why life treated me a certain way, because I wasn't meant to be here. But I came back to be challenged by the extreme difficulty of what people are unconscious to. So when I came down here and asked myself, how can I get to know where they're from or how they got inverted or this and that, I understood that they're foot soldiers for Jesuit orders, they're foot soldiers for the Vatican, they're foot soldiers for Luciferianism. And the thing is too, Lucifer is not bad or good. What I realized too is that Lucifer is just, I would say, the accountable label that God needed to create to check itself through arrogance. Because God knew it was going to be arrogant, so it needed Lucifer to get itself in line. That's exactly why Luciferians idolize God, but they inverted the meaning about it. But they were just on a higher knowing of what that meaning was inverted into, because they're doing it for their nature through Satanism. That's the only way it can make sense to me. Because in Satanism, you're catering to your nature. When you do that, you don't mind eating people. You don't mind trafficking kids. You don't mind getting your anal sacrifice. You don't mind getting on your knees and getting some throat or giving some throat to a CEO or whatever, or to an executive. You don't mind doing that. You don't mind killing your family member. You don't mind getting shamed by the public. You don't mind wearing a dress because that's what you wanted to do. You're just now realizing that, oh, you're in a man's costume, so you got to be cautious or worry of what you have to focus on. And the thing is too, they'll even let you know in secrecy that their main focus is being cautious of things that we're not aware of. But once you see it, you understand why they had to be sacrificed through rituals. And that's the ritualization of energy work, because they don't want you to work on yourself. They want you to be entertained by wizards and warlocks. Only those awake can see. So with this entire video, if you do judge what's going on, you don't know what's going on because you can't even see what's happening. So if we go to this, because I got Twitter and all that, don't mind it's my classwork and all that. So I even got more proof as well, because somebody be like, well, how? So, got this picture right here. There we go. Same exact thing. So, the bottom of the triangle, it doesn't align with the pupils right here. But if you go right here, it aligns perfectly with the female skull. Same thing for the nostrils, because she did wear a mask as well. You understand, with the skull, it didn't even matter because they place it on the same exact jawline, and what do you get? The exact same thing. You're being a woman. So when you see legs crossed, so when the legs are crossed, showing you what's in between, pause. We're never gonna get into that, but that's how you understand that it's all of them, no exception. So no matter what, people know who you are, and it's okay. Own up to what you are doing and what you care about. You want that money, you'll do whatever it takes to get there. All right, let's go right here. So I never heard this one. Let's see what you guys.
There's a lot of brainwashing cults out there. There's a lot of brainwashing occults. There's a lot of brainwashing religions. There's a lot of people trying to recruit you to be in different things. And I tell y'all the truth. You know that it happens all the time. It's not a secret. People do try to recruit you for these different occults and secret societies, and it happens. But what I would say is to combat that is to stay true to who you are, stay close to your family, get to know your relationship with God, and trust that.
And that's the thing. Get close with the relationship with God and trust that. And I just thought about it as well. I had to contradict it. Why would I want to trust that label? Like, yeah, we may sit here and say God, this and that, but the awakened ones understand there is no God, but you know what that source is being. Once you're able to articulate that, you understand you're not just saying it now. Stop disrespecting my creator, because my creator would never say that about itself. That's so disrespectful, and that's blasphemy. Not only just that, can't even admit that it happened to you, but you're saying it's happening. But you're not saying it's happening. That's the thing right there. You're on two sides of the fence. You gotta be careful of people like that, because they'll tell you one thing whole entire time, they're doing the opposite or meaning something else without saying it up front, because they know what will happen to them.
You know, if you believe in Jesus Christ, you believe in Moses, you believe in the stories of the Bible, the stories of the Quran, and not just stories. I'm not going to be disrespectful. They're not stories. If you are going to be involved...
And the thing is, too, you can sit here and say they're not stories, but they are stories. And that's not disrespectful, because remember, spiritually, nothing has happened physically. That's the story. If life had a story, it'll be called lies. Literally, lies, L-I-E-S. Or liars, L-I-A-R-S. Or nature, unconsciously. It can be so many names. It doesn't have to be, you know, a story or a fable. And I'm not going to sit here and say there haven't been deities or people who have accomplished these greatest adventures and explorations and done so many different things for humanity. Not saying that. But the thing is, though, if you have not witnessed that, you haven't shaken hands with it or hugged it, had a conversation with it, learned about it, how do you know it even existed? And if existence cannot exist, then what is God to existence? When God transcends what existence can't even exist in.
And what is truth in terms of people's faith, you should show that respect and honor that, and that's what I choose to do. All right, I was just a young kid, just being rambunctious, just throwing symbols out, you know, not having a real understanding and grasp on the power of these things. And now that I do understand, I don't want to continue to promote that without people having the proper understanding.
Admitting secretly that he can't tell you the truth of what some people are going to know regardless if this video came out or not. Just waiting for it to drop, waiting for it to happen. And I was going to take my time on evil, but I ain't going to lie, there is no rest for the wicked. Because remember, you are a foot soldier for Jesuits. If you know what you're doing, because he said being a young kid, being rambunctious, I'm not going to sit here and say your youth, you won't sit here and make mistakes, because I have made a lot as well. And I have learned from that, and I'm glad I went through it, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be on the path I am. I know I wouldn't. I would be unconscious as well. So being on the alignment of the NBA as well, knowing that I was already there, in a different vessel, I understood that if I was to continue to keep on going, and if I was to just remain under mind control, remain a drone by just playing basketball, not having a life, I wouldn't know myself. I was able to experience so many things at a young age because I went to go outside. I would just be outside and be with my friends, be with my teammates. I got to go to different states. I got to do different things. So I won't sit here and say that this order saved me, but it put me in an observation that I could have been aligned with. So I got older and I told myself, I won't know who I am if I keep on doing this act. I'll be a wizard, I will be a sorcerer. Not saying that I don't mind being mystical in my lifestyle. Because once I understood that there is no bad perspective on this, I realized where the evil came from. And that's what makes humans sick. Let's get into this right here as well. Bookmark different things for us to learn about.
It's counterfeit like LeBron James, who has that boule logo tattooed on his chest. When LeBron retires, his number would be called 2. Okay, this is how the deep state, he thinks that he's just going to retire, and that's why he doesn't want to retire. You know the former NBA player, Dwayne Wade?
Correct.
His son, Zion, is now called Zion. Okay, this is how these people within the system, to go to the next level, you have to sacrifice something. This goes back thousands of years during the time of the pharaohs. If a man wanted to have access to Pharaoh, he had to sleep with the male magician. If a woman wanted to have access to Pharaoh, she had to sleep with the female magician.
And the thing is too, the female and the male magicians were all inverts. So if you see men in those European time colonization periods, them seeing, or you see them wearing heels and skirts and all that, and you see why a bunch of men or boys are bringing that back, they're showing you inversion. They're showing you, even with the red dress in Louisiana, they're showing you inversion. They're letting you know what the agenda is. So if you go back and watch the Boondocks, they're telling you what people praise. They praise what they hate. People say they hate homophobia or homophobes, or they hate homophobia. They hate all this and that. No, you do not. Because if you see what it's doing, that's the reason why children are getting assaulted and molested by people who are in these industries. Because that's what they had to sacrifice themselves into doing to get to a position of financial freedom. People don't want to work anymore, so they'll do whatever it takes to maintain that dollar bill. And that's the illusion right there, that dollar bill that's on the back of your delusion.
A parent wanted the child to see Pharaoh, that child had the...
And the thing is too, this is exactly what they did with like Moloch or Baal. So if somebody, even in the biblical time periods, if they wanted you to speak with that magician, speak with that sorcerer, speak with that king or that queen, which was a transgender, you had to put that child to sleep. And then you had to walk away because you don't know what's going to happen your way. And you're not allowed to see that. It was only in secrecy, which is why they symbolize pyramids. So when Jesus Christ went to the Egyptian schools of mystery, what did his mom traffic him into? Or her into? Because if you see Jesus Christ, that is a woman playing as a vessel. It doesn't matter if it's Yahweh, Yahuwah, Yahusha, Jesus Christ, Moses, Muhammad, Buddha. Doesn't matter what you want to call your ego. It's all satanic inversion. And we are sacrificed into that for a dollar bill to keep our life in order. And we still can't get in order in chaos.
Sleep with a male or female magician. Nothing has changed. In the rap industry, to go at a certain level financially, you have to be what we call broken. That humiliation. And to your powerful listeners, this goes back into...
Which is exactly why it's not taboo for a lot of them to suck up the whole industry. Excuse me. So listen to The Game. There's a song by The Game, and he exposes the industry. And I was listening to it too. I got a song 4811. So I gotta remember this. But yeah, The Game was just talking about somebody being called Superhead that was just mopping up all the other artists in the industry. And I think that might have been Beyonce to climb her way to the top. So if you watch Destiny's Child, it all correlates. I mean, it all makes sense. And the thing is too, exactly what boys or boyan say. If I was a boy, you know, this by her playing this character, that's exactly why she's under, or she places people under the hive mind or bee control, which is just basically the all-seeing eye being a boy in a woman's vessel, just playing a role. And then Jay-Z's playing a woman that's supposed to be the greatest MC because she has empathy for what she went through and what she staged into playing. It's all a play and a role for actors to be in, and they don't die. They're infinite. So even when you transcend and come back, you'll still see them again. They live forever. Literally, they're memories that you never even met. And if you've seen them at their concerts, you're watching their mind control. And they're not even here for real. They're holograms that are deemed to be physical, but that doesn't mean physically that they are being here for real. Because you never sat and had a conversation with their truth. They can only show you lies that look believable because you believe in them to come and save you from your 9-to-5 job. So you're going paid to help you have a fun time that's entertaining. That's not entertainment. You are literally going against your morals and your blueprint of what you have to focus on. That's leaving the things that seem fun or profound or just loving and just whatever that seem heavenly. Not saying that you can't go to concerts and whatnot, but your energy is being harvested for somebody who does not care about you.
Slavery, right? The transatlantic slave trade. Slaves who could not be controlled were sent to the Caribbean, and they were tied down, mostly men, chest first, and molested by a male slave master in front of the other.
And the thing is too, once I realized that the people who are Freemasons or who are in the Boule, this is basically who you're working for. You still working for the slave master that is not portrayed as being white, but they're in a pale costume. So it's no different from the ancient time period. So once I noticed that, I told myself, I'll be damned if I let this same exact cycle happen to me. Fuck that. I'm finna rewire my bloodline and say, fuck that. I'm finna expose what the fuck y'all doing. Because people don't know we're still in segregation. We're still in different time periods that seem different, but it's still similar to how we're being treated. There are a lot of reports out here of people getting noosed or hung in different countrysides that don't get reported on the news. And why is that? Because they don't want you to care and make a cause to stand up for violence upon carbonated beings. And they rather you, and they still have sundown towns, so they rather you not care. They rather you have black on black violence because they want you to go against yourself. Because you have internalized hatred and pain that you have not overcame, you have not worked through, because it hurts to work through what you should have been healing, your illusions.
Family members in front of the other slaves. Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed, which is exactly why I just can't respect it, because my thing is, you understand what you're really doing for a dollar bill, and that to me is just going against the principle of your spirit. And that's how I know, like, you can change your script, but they choose not to. So you can sit here and forgive yourself at any given age, because I want to say she's around her 30s or whatever. You can be forgiven, honestly, but remember, you appropriated yourself into working in a script that you didn't want to articulate. So it is still going to be your fault no matter what you do, and you have to work through that. And that's exactly why she's deciding to now vocalize what people need to understand, but she didn't say understand or understand. Because once you understand what's happening, you realize that these things won't change because they keep on happening every single day. That's exactly why a lot of times people come into unison when they understand that if I work my way into getting to where I need to be, I can be the character that can be idolized, I can now have financial freedom. That's really what it's all about, being free, so you don't have to worry about money and you can make it work for you. It's like, okay, cool. But once you understand on a business aspect of how money can work for you, what do you got to do for that? That's where people get lost in, and they feel as if they got to entertain to make more of it. Why not be comfortable in what you are in? It's not good enough. They don't appreciate the moment because they're here for a temporary period of time, because they know eventually they're going to have to pay for their crimes upon humanity. And what's that crime? Lying to people about what you are playing the act in. We're all actors. The thing is, though, if you don't know what the actor is doing or being, that is your problem, and that's your choice for remaining ignorant. But once you become awakened, only those awakened can see. Most people just can't accept that it's all of them, but think about it. Why would they make any exceptions to membership in a secret society? Inverts don't mix with normies or on any meaningful level, and they only promote and advance their own kind, period. All clubs have rules for membership, and either you qualify or you don't. No one's allowed to slip through the cracks when you entirely control the world. That's the only way this PSYOP could successfully work as it has for thousands of years. EGI club normies need not apply. And the thing is, too, I was born into the club. So no matter what, I was invited if I choose to go. If I don't go, they won't get mad because they know what it is. That's my story in life. I was born into this shit, and it's sickening. But am I mad about it? No, because I chose to be born into this bullshit. So I can learn about it so that when people really understand that you were sacrificing, there's one thing to be sacrificed and born into this shit. Because intentionally, your parents told themselves, I don't ever really care about this vessel right here. I just want to use them to maintain my financial freedom. If they happen to be along the way, so be it. That's how I'm just thinking about it. Because if you look at a baby and you tell yourself, I'm going to get this baby away to Moloch or a label or an idolater, you saying you don't even want the baby that you gave birth to? Crazy. All celebrities, actors, musicians, all professional athletes, all politicians, all royals, everyone on the world stage, they're all satanic Baphomets. There are no exceptions, and I agree with that. It's all of them. They are the beings that need your energy because they can't sit with their truth behind closed doors, so they got to stream about it. When you realize they worship a transgender false idol, it makes so much more sense. Can't make it up. And they feel as if this is going to heal the world. Their element, their interpretation, remember, it doesn't matter what order it is. Earth, air, fire, water, spirit. You combine that with the interlocking triangle, the divine feminine and masculine, you have a hexagram. Now you got the all-seeing eye in the middle. You can do whatever you want with the element. Good perspective, bad perspective, doesn't matter. This being will still sit on top of your subconscious mind. Most human beings are not capable of understanding the level of evil we are dealing with. All right, let's go back to, this shit's beyond evil. And if you don't believe in evil, that's how I know you sleep. And the thing is too, evil is asleep. It doesn't know how evil it never could be. Let's keep on going. Wizards and warlocks. So we basically say, like, you know, if you go to her games, I'm not gonna sit here and show you. I'm not in my household and all that, but let me make sure y'all can still see me and whatnot, because the sun came out. But anyways, when it comes down to here and all that, I gotta get myself right. But when it comes to wizards and warlocks, understand as well, when you see her dribble, even after this video, you can go on any highlight, go on any game, watch her go to work. I'm not gonna sit here and hate because look at her handles. She can dribble the ball very on an exceptional level that requires hard determination and requirements to sacrifice the life that you used to know, and you're putting your all into your craft. Literally wizards and warlocks. When you put energy into your craft, you are a wizard and a warlock. Meaning that you can hold dimensions down because you're a gatekeeper for them. So you can do basically what you want, depending on your level of consciousness. You are the key holder. And I say that because this key holder understands what's going on. She played with LeBron James, same exact thing. She played against Kobe, played against KD, played against all these other people, all these other beings that you know about. So once you realize that, it's no exceptions for them. So if you're praising them, I'm not sitting here saying you can't admire the game, because I still catch myself watching like Tracy McGrady highlights or whatever, because it's outstanding for how these people do this shit. And it's just like, I used to look up to this shit, and once I went back and realized that it's not worth it anymore, you see why people have to go against you when you're biologically more dominant than their ego. They have to constantly work out, and they're still not strong enough. I realized that playing at the rec as well. The inverts are still out there double teaming me, smacking me, scratching me, peeling into my skin, getting mad, because they're getting cooked. Because they have to work out so much to where I barely even do it, and I'm still stronger than you mentally, because I understand what you're fighting against, and it's not me, it's yourself. So once I understand that you are the key holder, she understands what is happening in these industries, to where that second clip that we showed, she's expressing what's going to happen for the future to come. Running out of time, same exact thing. That's exactly why she's letting you know that you have to understand what's happening. And if you don't, you won't grow. But you can only grow when you're able to manage the information that's being, I would say, brought out towards you. Because remember, when you know their secrets, it's all symbolic for esoteric practices. Remember, this has been going on since the Egyptian time period, since the Middle Eastern time period, since all these different time periods. It's been going on before you and I were even born, because it's all energy. And I put that because I definitely know your secret. Once I realized that, I had to make a video on it. We can't sit here and just duck it just because you follow the page. No, you follow my identity, but spiritually, I can't sit here and just keep quiet. If I did, I wouldn't be true to my morals. So I have to sit here and express what you're hiding. If you won't, and the thing is too, running out of time. If people don't come out and say what they are, I'm just gonna have to make a video on it. We don't gotta sit here and make 4 scripts, 5 scripts anymore if I don't choose to. I just had this one page. I said, this is good enough right here. This is all the proof we need. And it's still not proof because you can't see it the way you want. And the thing is too, if you think as if it's a man, then show us. And people don't know that because you don't know how to read the numbers or the lies of the simulation. Excuse me. And these beings know numerology. So I guarantee you, if you have a conversation with Kyrie and you ask, did you know that you would get that amount of rings? She would say, yeah, I knew. It was told to me before I had the character played as Kyrie Irving. It's all esoteric symbolism. They've been doing this shit for energy work to get them to a higher order. That shit's been happening literally in pyramids in Africa and in Egypt, so on and so forth. It doesn't fucking matter. Well, Egypt is in Africa, so it doesn't fucking matter. So, slit your throat. I put that because, understand, if you go against that oath and you're deeper into that society, because remember, if you're on the forefront of the NBA and you're cooking legends, you're cooking Hall of Famers, you're going to get talked about, you're going to get watched, you're going to get introduced to different names that the average human would never confront or ever face in life. So when you know that, if you speak up on what's going on, that's your throat, and they're going to clone your character if you're still able to play the game. But if not, they're going to have to cut your circuit off. They're going to have to cut your mind off because you're talking too much. So like that being was able to react to these videos, she would get that call. You talking too much. Shut that shit up or else. Or else. I was genuinely deceived. And the thing is too, I told that for myself. When I seen the script, I said, damn, man. Damn, bro. But it's all of them. No matter what you do, you can't go against the truth. And if you still idolize that, you're going to place yourself in their torment and their suffering. This is their realm. This realm does not belong to us. And I mean us as far as biological divine beings. And things to the beings who are inverted. The ones that have spiritual intentions to do better, they're able to climb the higher frequencies that we already resonate in. So not going to sit here and say that these people who are inverted, who are good people, that they can't make it to the highest elevation of energy work. No, they can definitely do that. But if you're praising celebrities, if all you focus on is their life and you're not working on your own, you will never make it. Duality and contrast. And the thing is, somebody will say, well, why is this happening? You know, how does this keep happening? How do they manage to do that? It's about duality and the contrast for the life that we see. If they can get you to idolize her, then you'll play just like her. So you'll be more soft to where you're just doing layups because you're afraid to dunk the ball because you got hurt. A lot of times when you dunk through people, you're showing how to be dominant, showing how to be a man, which is exactly why people will say Shaq is the most dominant center of all time. But that's exactly what they think a man was doing the whole entire time. She was showing you how to be dominant as a man, just not give a fuck. But I mean, when you're 7'1", damn near 300-something pounds, who gonna stop that shit? That's like a damn monster truck just plowing through the mall, not caring about who's in sight. I mean, and on top of that, when you're juiced up on steroids and testosterone and different medications and all that, I mean, especially steroids, because when Jet T said LeBron was on steroids and somebody confronted him about that, he didn't want to be honest about it. No, stand up on what you said. She was on testosterone or supplements or whatever, or steroids. When you're on the Miami Heat, when she was on the Miami Heat, go watch LeBron James Miami Heat highlights. You can't tell me that a regular human can do that. You can't tell me that. The Greatest Showman. I mean, does she not entertain you when you watch? She's showing you what a man is playing like. So does that make her the greatest? God's playing a trans man. I mean, understand as well, when Drake was on the court for the Raptors and all that, she's showing you what she's promoting. She then got buck broken as well. So when the guy was talking about, it's the exact same thing. I mean, buck breaking to me is still like you shaking hands with the devil and then you know what the devil is doing to you and you still decide to dance with it. you're getting fucked and you know it. You can't sit here and say you don't know it, because you do. But you choose not to know it because you know that the money came with it. You know that the idolization, the praise is coming with it, and you adore that. You appreciate that. To where now you tell yourself, you know what? I want to keep on doing this because I love the way people say my name, where they scream my name. And I appreciate getting money. I appreciate getting rings and all that. So why won't I shake hands with Lucifer? I mean, people don't have to know, but eventually somebody who's awakened, who can see your script, you can't hide anymore. If we ain't noticed, nobody would talk about gematria. That's exactly why, I mean, spiritual leaders can't talk about it anymore, because they know it'll expose who they always been hiding. Fate is death in plane crash, and Lucifer hand shaking Samuel. So basically shaking your little brother. So they call you little brother. They call you, you know, just depending on what level they're on consciously. But in these secret societies, they will look at you as a brother. So Luciferians are shaking hands with an archangel. So you are an archetype for non-angelic genetic alterings. So the thing is, a lot of us are non-angelic beings. We are aliens. We have been alienated from our simulation. We don't come from this dimension, but many of them do. That's why we're called lab rats, but many of us are also different experiments that are still in the same exact maze. Only difference is we have beat the maze so many times to where we transcend it. So we watch ourselves playing it again because we don't care about it. But fate is death and plane crash. That's the illusion. Them, remember, they need your energy. So if you go back and watch those videos too, when her husband, which was the wife, when she's on those altars and she's portraying that she's sad that Kobe and Gigi are gone, they're still here. You just don't know that they're here. You think as if they're dead because they want your energy. They want your condolences. They want your, you know, they want this notion of you feel bad for them. But all the entire time, they're enjoying their fame in secrecy because you don't know about the illusions that esoteric symbolism and Egyptian mysteries has been teaching us. You can fake your own death and nobody would know. But that's what they want. They didn't really want to be famous, but they chose to go that route because it was destined for them to do that, to show a message. I put a spell on you. And the people that watch her and still say, I'm going to support this and that. If you support her, then you support Lucifer. I'm not going to sit here and say you're wrong or right for doing that, but she put a spell on you, and she has to admit that. Not even just her, because there's no she or he, because genders do not exist to the spirit. But her ego put a spell on you. Her nature put a spell on you. And the thing is, too, if that's the case, you allowed yourself to even fall into it. So you put the spell upon yourself. Epigenetics and genetic code. Understand, for her to be MK Ultra transgender, it was aligned in her genetic makeup. No matter what, she was going to have to go through that because that's what she noticed herself in her environment, because she was around them. So once she was sacrificed by being around them, she could only do what she was taught to be doing because it was conditioned at birth. Because it's standard like military style. So once you understand too how the militia puts spells upon humanity, you realize what sigils are. And once you understand what sigils are, you understand how the lens basically is under Luciferian spellcasting. Your whole entire life is not what it is because somebody taught you it. That's why secret societies exist, because they're all under mind control as inverted beings, because they don't want you to know who you are as a man. So as I realized that, I told myself, like, damn, MK Ultra transgender. So I was like, Father, how can I make her see? Because does Kyrie know that she's a woman playing as a man? She probably doesn't till somebody shows her what she should have acknowledged the whole entire time. But that's hard to fathom when you don't know how to stomach what you've been lying about the whole entire time. So it's like the past is moving like a tsunami to where you had to confront what you were hiding, and you knew about it, but you didn't think it would happen in this time period. But things are shifting to where people are becoming more knowing of what people are hiding behind closed doors, because you have people like you and I who are in tune with what the secrets are. Because I mean, I was a part of it, I'm still in. The only difference is I'm not under that spell casting because I walked away. But I already know what time it is, to where I know how they do it and why they do it, and it all makes sense. Moving to streaming, we had 2 videos of her talking about what's going on as far as streaming, and she's telling you the truth in streaming. So you can't sit here and say this is not align or add up to you. No, you just choose to make it not make sense because you still want to worship what God can never be. And you think as if, damn, this is just so phenomenal of a skill set to where I want to copy it, I want to watch it when I go to bed at night. You're giving your time to Joanna Man because you basically want to be like that for attention. You want male validation, and these aren't even men, these are women playing as men, and you want their validation because you want somebody to care about what you think you're working on. All the entire time, all you're doing is just mimicking a role that you can never be casted in because you're not put into a position to play that role unless you decide to submit to that role and you end up playing yourself to where now they're playing with you, to where the money's playing with you, and you'll think as if nobody can play with you, but now you're playing with yourself because you forgot that your lies are showing the world what they can't see the truth in. So when you see this character of who Kyrie is, understand it's no hate or anything like that, but realistically, she is still a part of secret societies of Luciferianism. These people are still Baphomet worshippers. There's still beings that are putting you into mind control, so it's no different. And this video made you mad good. That was never my intention, but no matter what it is, have a great and divine day, divine reflection, and always appreciate yourself and love yourself. Let's keep on going. We're not done.